Thank you, boys. So, this is week number 3 of a mini-series I'm doing based off a book called The Way of Mastery. So, the last couple times I've spoken, we've did a little dive into it. It's a pretty amazing book. It's pretty spectacular, actually. I've been really touched by it. I've been really moved by it. I've been enjoying it, actually, for about a year now, going through it. And it's just so powerful, the messages that have been coming through it, through me, and I believe being spoken by source, by Jesus. And it's just been absolutely incredible. And so just as a reminder for anybody that hasn't been here, the book is actually broken down into 3 sections. The first section is called The Way of the Heart. The second section is called The Way of Transformation. And today, I'm going to be talking about the section called The Way of Knowing. Now, the way of knowing to me, in terms of the structure of the book, has probably been the most powerful because it makes some incredible statements, and really they're just reminders about who and what we are and what we really can do and create in our lives when we really decide that's what we want to do. Again, I'm going to always remind you and tell you that the stuff just doesn't get plopped on your lap. It's not like God is going to show up and go, well, here you go, you're fixed, everything is all set. It's actually a journey that we have to engage with. Now, yeah, you can sit and listen. That's one way to approach your divinity. Or you can roll up your sleeves and say, hey, you know what? I think I'm actually going to start engaging in this process. My encouragement, my hope is if you're coming in here, you'll pick the later. Because that is how I've seen the changes. That's where you can honestly see people making huge differences in their lives, transforming, healing, all of the things that we talk about when we talk about spiritual journeys and adventures and fun, right? So, I'm just going to bring up a point that I made last time that I spoke as well about this idea that when you really study the Bible and you really study Jesus, the thing that made him so incredible was the way that he thought. It's almost like I call it, he used a different operating system. He did. For those computer people out there, he used what I call the God operating system. And if you really watch the way that he thought, that is what created the miracles. That's what allowed him to do the things that he did in the Bible. Why? Because he believed he was one with the divine. He believed that there was no separation. He believed that by tapping into that and being a reflection of love, he could do almost anything. Anything. I'm not even going to put an almost on that. He could do anything. And as the story goes, he did. Clearly. From all the miracles in the Bible, it's what he did. And he didn't make it about himself. He didn't. He made it about his divinity, and he made it about God. And he said, hey, by the way, you can do this. You can do this. If that's what you want, you can do this. And so I sit there and I look at that and I say to myself, so when you really think about it, it's kind of like the Fillmores talked about the Christ mind, this operating system. It's a different way of thinking about it. It's a different way of approaching. It's a different way of being, using this Christ mind, exactly what the Fillmores talked about. But when I really started thinking about it, I thought to myself, so if you really wanted to boil it down, you could just say, well, let me get this right then. If I want to be like Jesus, who is apparently, certainly in terms of Christianity, the pinnacle, right? It's simple. Think like Jesus. Don't complicate it, folks. Think like Jesus. If you think like Jesus, you're going to be able to basically do what Jesus did, or whatever that looks like for you. Not everybody's going to be Jesus, okay? But maybe you've got something in your life you want to work on. Maybe you got something you want to change. Maybe you got something in your life you want to have some fun with. It's limitless. You are unlimited in terms of what you're able to do. You can do anything when you align with your own divinity and then you apply certain principles. You can have a lot of fun with this. It's a game. It's why Jesus turned water into wine. He liked to have a good time. Don't take this stuff so seriously. I mean that legitimately, right? So, I was also thinking, when they used to have the bracelets, what would Jesus do? I thought to myself, wouldn't it be better to have one that said, what would Jesus think? I think that would be way more powerful, in my opinion. What would he think? Because you think about it, anything that came up in his life, what did he do? I'm one with the divine. I'm good. Really good. Whew. Imagine living your life like that. I don't care what shows up. I got it. I'm tight. We're good. Powerful. Powerful, powerful. And so this week's lesson, and so what I'm doing is in each section of the book, there are several lessons. And this lesson today is from 28 called You and You Alone Create Your Tomorrow. Sounds a lot like Fillmore, doesn't it? For those of you that are Fillmore fans. And really the truth is anybody that does a lot of personal growth and transformation stuff, doesn't that kind of sound like it? Like you and you alone create your own tomorrow? Hold on, does that mean that I actually got to take responsibility for my life and what shows up? Yes. Because the truth is this, it's really simple. You either show up in life as a victim, you can do that if you want to, or you can show up as a powerful creator. We all have that choice. And by the way, there's no shame, blame, or judgment in any of that. It's okay if you want to show up as a victim. It's okay. No one's judging you for that. You can also show up as a powerful creator. I'm telling you right now, on a personal note, I used to hang over here a lot. It's not fun. It's not. When you stand over here, but guess what? There's more responsibility over here. And you start accepting that what's showing up in your life is really there for your highest and the best good. Even if it's not easy, there's lessons that are there to be learned. There's things that you're meant to grow through. And when you understand that, all of a sudden, instead of looking at it and freaking out, oh my God, you stand in your divinity and say, oh, awesome. Look, there's something here. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know specifically what it is, but I'm here to learn something. And it's here to expand me. It's here for me to possibly stand into my own divinity more powerfully than I've ever done before. Maybe it's pushing me a little bit. Maybe it's pushing me towards healing a relationship. Maybe it's pushing me towards healing something within my body. Maybe it's here for healing something because I don't believe I'm worthy enough to receive all the blessings that God has to give me. Maybe it's really working out for me, and if I just can breathe and relax and not freak out about it, maybe there's a chance that there's a gift here for me. And that's just the hard stuff. But how about the easy stuff? How about the fun things? How about the miracles? How about all the blessings that show up in your life? How about the amazing things that start to kick in when you start playing with this stuff? Because I'm telling you, the angels are dancing around you 24/7. They're always there in this thing, and if you really start to tune in and pay attention to what's going on, you will see more blessings than you have any idea. I would say I probably see less than 10% of the blessings that I'm being given on a regular basis. I'm working on it, though. I really am. I'm really telling God, no, I really want to see all of them. I don't want to miss most of them. And it's like, that's the kind of attitude that helps me then understand that something as simple as driving into work and seeing this amazing sunrise, or having a conversation with one of you, or doing something like, I don't know, giving somebody a hug, are the greatest, simple, beautiful moments that we often take for granted. And yet, they're there. But you got to dial in, you got to tune into that in order to see them, right? So I'm going to share with you some of the thoughts that Jesus has in this lesson. He starts off and he said, all fields of thought then, in a sense, washed up to the shoreline of your being. So in other words, all fields of thought, what you're thinking about, are washed up into the shoreline of your being. You elect what influences will enter into your sphere. Some of those will pass through, and some you'll begin to become identified with. You will take them on as your thoughts. You will form an agreement with the nature of that thought. You will value that thought and therefore create experiences that flow from your agreement, your valuation. Okay, so I just said a mouthful. And I'm going to slow it down because I'm going to tell you something. In my opinion, what he just said in those 2 paragraphs that I just read to you are the foundation of his entire ministry. And also the entire unity movement, by the way. So I want to slow it down, and I want to take it line by line and pull that thing apart. So what do we start off with? The sentence, all fields of thought then, in a sense, washed up to the shoreline of your being. So what does it mean? Well, stop and think about it. We're constantly emanating energy and thought, constantly. And what eventually happens is those thoughts show up at the shoreline of your being. Where have I heard that before in unity? Unity, thoughts in mind produce after their kind. Anybody ever hear that one? If you've been in unity for more than about 2 weeks, you've heard that. Okay? Thoughts in mind produce after their kind. Right? And then Jesus goes on to say that you elect, and to me that's probably the most important part of the sentence. You, not anybody else, elect what influences will enter into your sphere. So in other words, you're picking them. Nobody else is. You're the one that's going, yep, I'll take this one, I'll take this one, I'll take this one, I'll take that one. Some of those will pass through you, and some of you will begin to become identified with. So I want you to think about it. Have you ever had somebody that has said something about you that is so not true that you just go, poof? Yeah? We've all had that, right? Where it's so interesting to me and fascinating that somebody can say something about you that is so untrue that you're just like, yeah, whatever. And it rolls off your back like water on a duck's back, right? It just goes. But then sometimes somebody will say something to you and all of a sudden it sticks. And you're kind of going, maybe, right? And you accept that as truth, whether it is or it's not. And that's where it's really, really relevant and important to understand. You folks know that I'm a neuroscience geek, and I love psychology, and I love behavioral psychology, and I love all of that kind of stuff. It's kind of what it's kind of my day job, right? But I love to play with it. Why? Because the way the human being works fascinates me. The way our mind works fascinates me. The way our divinity works within all of that fascinates me. Because to me, it all connects when you really start to study it, and it fascinates me. Behavioral psychology will tell us from the ages of 0 to 7 is really when our foundational beliefs about who and what we are formed. There's only one little problem with that equation. 0 to 7, my entire foundational belief about who and what I am is formed. Guess where that information is coming from? Not me. Where is it probably coming from? Our parents, or whoever the majority of the time we spent, whoever that parental figure was, whoever that person, place, thing, people were, that's where those beliefs come from. Where did their beliefs come from? Their parents, their influences, right? And here's the crazy part. It doesn't matter if what they told you or made you believe about yourself is true or not. It makes absolutely no difference. We took it in and we bought it hook, line, and sinker because when you're that young, you don't have a filtering system and you're not able to filter it out. So guess what? It all comes in. It all comes in. It all comes in. And it doesn't even matter if any of it is true or not. Why? Because when you're that young, you don't have the ability to say, well, that's a good one, and I'll keep that one, but that one's not so good, I'm going to get rid of that one. You can't do that from 0 to 7. And so what happens is then when you get to be 7 or so, then what happens is there starts to be a part of your brain that starts to shut down, and those thoughts that were originally put there are now in your subconscious mind. And guess what happens? For the rest of your life, the majority of what you do, what you think, how you act is based off of not your conscious mind. It's based off your subconscious mind. What? So wait a minute, let me get this right then. The way that I think, say, and do, everything that I do isn't based off of my conscious mind. It's based on something that I got locked inside of my head that was created when I was 0 to 7 years old, and I don't have access to that. It's in my subconscious, below my conscious. I'm not even aware of what's in there. Yes. Well, who signed me up for this program? What? That makes no sense to me. I know, but it's true. It doesn't even matter what those beliefs are. It doesn't. And in my opinion, in my experience, where that is so critically important is your divinity. Whew, get me going. We have been intentionally taught to ignore and not pay attention to our divinity and who and what we are. Intentionally. Let's not think about it. Let's not talk about it. Or if we talk about it, we're going to give it to you so watered down that it's really not going to do very much to help you. And so guess what? We grow up, we don't think about it, we don't do very much about it. Occasionally we might come to Sunday service, hear this guy called Mike talk and do what he does. He's crazy up there swinging his hands and all this stuff. But the truth is, the majority of the time we are taught just to not really do very much. Instead of this being like, oh my God, make it a priority in your life, would you please? Why? Because you're divine and we should be dancing and celebrating and having a good time. That's why. But we don't. And so we grow up and it's like, I'll occasionally go to church. That's nice. Sometimes some of us got lucky enough to walk in those doors at Unity, which is pretty cool, because then we got a little bit of a better idea of what's going on, right? That's kind of fun. All of us, because of who and what we are, have the DNA of God within us. It's there. I don't care who, what, where, why, or when. It's there in every single one of us. It can be activated. It can be. But guess what? You're going to have to show up. And you're going to have to roll up your sleeves, and you're going to have to do some work. But oh my God, I cannot tell you how worth it is. How worth it is to spend time and focus and sit there and get involved with your own divinity. Make it a priority in your life and watch your life change. Watch it. The third part of that paragraph, you will form an agreement with the nature of that thought. Whose thought? The thought that somebody else gave you about who and what you are. You will value that thought and therefore create experiences that flow from your agreement. So in other words, from those thoughts, from those limited thoughts, from those false beliefs about who and what you are, you will create experiences that flow from your agreement and your valuation. And in my opinion, what those experiences will do, here's the really goofy part about this equation, is they will affirm whatever that limited belief is. Ruh-roh. That's what happens. So in other words, you've got this limited belief about who and what you are, so you're putting off energy. I'm putting off energy, I'm putting off energy. And the universe goes, oh, that's what you think about you? Great, then we're going to give you a lot of it. You don't think you're worthy? Guess what? You get a whole lot of not worthy. That was one of my favorite ones. You don't think you're loved? Guess what? You're going to get a whole bunch of you're not loved. You think whatever else you want to think. I don't know how to make money. I can't make money. Money's hard to come by. Blah, 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 blah. Rattle them off. So you're sitting there. Your subconscious mind is putting this stuff out here. You don't even know what's going on in some cases until you start to wake up, by the way. And then all of a sudden you start putting that energy out there, and guess what shows up at your doorstep? What? I did that? How'd that happen? Yeah. So we're putting off energy through our thoughts, through our beliefs, through our perceptions about who and what we are. And that will become your reality. Jesus goes on to say, now your body is like a divining rod. Anybody know what divining rods are? Mm-hmm. And so is everyone else's. Therefore, those with confidence, those who love themselves, those who are not concerned with a good opinion of the world, who just go forward in the direction of what they love, are the ones that seem to gain the greatest support in the universe. We're energy. We're giving off these vibrations, and the universe is responding to those vibrations. That's just the way it works, which can be good news, right? It's awesome if you know that, because then you can start doing a lot of fun stuff with it, intentionally, consciously, instead of unconsciously. You can actually start to do things to change things. However, Jesus goes on to say, the problem is that you have unwittingly taught yourself to live from fear, to think negative thoughts, to believe the opinions of the world mean something. You have literally created a world in which people are negatively minded, do not want to support you, and do not think you are worthy of anything. Yet you are the one that is projecting that belief about yourself, and you therefore will attract a like vibration. So what does that mean, Mike? Does that mean maybe I want to start paying attention to what I'm thinking and what I'm saying and what I'm doing? I don't know, do you? It's really up to you. And so I want to have a little bit of fun, but I'm going to need a volunteer or two. You're not going to have to say anything. All I'm going to have you do is come up here for a minute and have a little bit of fun with me. Who would be willing to volunteer? Okay, come on up. There we go. Okay. So, come on down here, Tom. I need you to stand about right here. Is that okay? All right, stand right here. So, speaking of divining rods, okay? Now, I just want you to understand that these things spin. I cannot possibly control what these things do. They're just doing what they do, okay? For those of you that don't know, they've used these things throughout a long time. One of the most common things they used to do is in property, when they were trying to find where the water is running underneath the water, they would take some divining rods and they would just go boom until they crossed, and then poof, there's water, okay? So, I just want you to understand, I'm not doing anything. I'm just holding these things, and the things are going to do what they do, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. Tom, I just want you to sit there and be Tom. I don't want you to do anything. You don't have to do anything at all. And what I'm going to do is we're just going to see where about Tom's energy field happens to show up. So as I start to move closer, you're going to start to see, wow, this is impressive. Okay, do you see that? I'm not moving it. And this is where Tom's energy field is coming. His energy field, and that's a good one. Normally, they're 2 or 3 out from people. So that's where his energy field is coming out to. Okay? We good? All right, stay there. Now, I want you to think about, and just play with me for a second, but what I want you to do is think about shutting down your energy field. Now, you can either think, okay, shut it down mentally. Sometimes it helps people to kind of go negative. And what I mean by that is think, I'm not worthy, I'm not loved, nobody cares about me, that kind of stuff. So I want you to put yourself in that mental state, and when you get there, I want you to give me a nod. All right, so I'm going to start walking. You can open your eyes. And just stay in that space. Don't change anything. See that?
I'm trying to hold it up.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, shake that off. Go ahead, shake it off. Shake it off. Okay, all right. Did you notice? These did not move. These did not move. All right, so now we're gonna crank it up a bit. So now what I want you to think is that you're a big love teddy bear. You've got love, love, love. And I also think thoughts like, I am one with my divinity. I'm one with Source. And even take it to the next level where you can imagine that love coming into you, and you're able to send it out through your heart, and you're actually able to share it with everybody in this room and everybody in the world. So I want you to go there mentally, and when you get there, I want you to let me know. Okay? I didn't do anything, folks. I held these rods and they're spinning. Awesome. Let's give Tom a hand. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. How about one more volunteer? One other person, just to have some fun this morning. Come on up, Ken. All right. All right. So again, no pressure. You're not have to do anything. All I need you to do is just be who and what you are. Okay? Nothing else. You're just being you. So we're going to come. There you go. Okay? So that's his energy field. All right? All right. So now we're going to mix that up a little bit, and now I want you to think mentally. I want you to think you're going to shut it down. So I'm going to shut it down. And if you need to, like I'm not loved, I'm not worthy, that kind of, whatever you need to do to get there mentally, and when you get there mentally, I want you to let me know. Okay, you can open your eyes and just stay there. Okay, go ahead and shake that off. All right. Now, this is the fun part. So I want you to go into your space, and I just want you to think about love, and I want you to think things like, I'm one with my divinity, I'm one with Source. I want you to think about actually your heart filling with light, and then even the possibility of possibly sharing that with everybody in this congregation, everybody in the world. So mentally get yourself there, and when you're there, let me know. Okay? There you go. Awesome. Let's give Ken a hand. Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't do anything. I just held those things. Any one of you could have been me in that example, and any one of you could have been Ken or Tom in that example. It doesn't matter. We all give off energy. And that's the ability. You attract things. That's what's happening in life. That's what's going on. I want you to think about that. It's like you're this magnet that's constantly putting something out. And you have the ability to completely shut that energy off. Just kind of be neutral about the whole thing. Or if you really want to live in an amazing space, you can crank out love and put in positive thoughts and everything else and be sending them out. It's completely up to you. But don't sit there, especially now that you just saw that, don't sit there and think that you don't matter. Don't sit there and think that your thoughts, the only thing, if you were really paying attention, what was the difference between the energy levels? Their thoughts. Their thoughts. That was the only thing that changed, folks. That's the kind of power that you have. Your thoughts are the things to pay attention to. A couple final thoughts with you that Jesus shares. He says, therefore, when love leads the way, when love is a field of energy that you are abiding within everywhere that you go, you are touching the universe in a way that is much more subtle than the conscious mind. And the universe will respond to you because love responds to itself like a flower that opens to sunlight. If you therefore want to attract beings who will support and love you, how many people want to attract beings that will support and love you? Just kind of curious. Good. I'm really glad there better not be a hand down in here. If not, we got issues. Think only loving thoughts. Learn to master forgiveness. Dare to follow your heart. Celebrate life. Do what brings you joy. Walk as one confident in the light of the Christ. Right? He goes on to say, dare to look upon the world and say, God has set the table before me, and every being and every blade of grass is here to support my enjoyment of God, of the divine, of Source. As you cultivate that kind of discipline, your life will change as it must. It has to respond to you. Why? Because whether we like it or not, there are universal principles that impact us and impact everything around us, and these are the universal truths. These are the universal principles. We are energy. We attract what it is that we emit and we give off. That's the way that it works. You can't change that. For the universe responds to the vibrational quality that you are emitting from the radio station of your own mind. Right? And so now the question you have to ask yourself is, well, what is it that I want to be emitting from my own mind? Do I want to emit love? Do I want more love in my life? Do I want more gratitude in my life? Do I want those things that are fun in my life or not? And again, we don't do shame, blame, or judgment here. None. We don't do that here. So you can do whatever you want to, but no longer can you sit there and think and say to yourself, well, my thoughts don't matter. Oh, they matter. They matter on what's going to show up in your life and the way things are going to happen for you. And that's what we do here. So, having said that, I really hope that you've enjoyed the last couple of weeks where we've talked about the way of mastery. I am considering, at the first of the year, maybe doing a book study with it. I don't know, I'm kicking it around. It's a huge dive. It's a deep dive. It's not for the weak at heart. But if there's enough of you that are interested in doing that, if there's enough of you that go, hey, Mike, I might want to do that, then guess what? We'll do that. Because I think it's super powerful, and it's really, really good. Yeah, cool. I got a couple of thumbs ups, which is fine. We can have those wonderful conversations and make that happen for you. Right? This is really, really powerful stuff. I mean, to me, this is, there's a lot of everythings for me, but I mean, this has got to be one of the most basic things about your divinity, energy, and everything that's going on. This is it. You really can make a difference in your life by the way that you think, because the way that you think is going to basically create the way that you feel. The way that you feel is going to create the kind of action that you're going to take or not take. The kind of action that you take is going to produce a result, and it's going to do one or two things. It's going to confirm what your original thought was that started the whole mess, or you could possibly change it and start to make differences and changes in your lives. It's really up to you. So again, I leave you with the question. What are you going to keep in your mind? What are you going to keep emitting that you want to show up in your life? You all are doing an amazing job. You all are. Good work. Each and every one of you, and I mean this seriously. Sometimes life isn't easy. I get it. We get stuck. Stuff happens. But please, 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 don't ever forget that that's what we're here for. We're here to help you. We're here to have conversations with you. We're here as a community to grow, to love, to support each other as we go through this process. You are sacred. You are honored. You are loved. You are divine. Don't ever, ever, ever let anybody tell you you are other than that. You are spectacular, and I love each and every one of you, and I'm beyond grateful for your time this morning. Have a great day, and God bless.